What are some of the biggest challenges that the NOC faces at this moment in time, and what is the support that you would really need to take this forward?
The biggest challenge that we are facing at the moment, not at the moment, it has been there for the last almost 8 to 9 years, but it has now come to a blow at the moment, is the sports law. Our sports law is 1973, is the very old sports law compared to the rest of the world. In fact, we were oldest being Iraq, but even they had upgraded the sports law. So very recently during the Olympic, the International Olympic Committee members met the Honorable Minister, met the Secretary, DG, and they told them, and they had brought to their knowledge, the sports law must be upgraded. It must be a new sports law, must be brought in. Unfortunately, I am not sure how serious they have taken that. You see, IOC suspended India, they suspended Pakistan, they suspended even Kuwait. Why I say Kuwait is because the Olympic Council of Asia president is from Kuwait. With all that, they suspended Kuwait. At the moment, due to doping, for various reasons, doping, they had suspended Russia. They permitted, because it was Russia, to participate under the Olympic banner. They didn't allow them to use Russian flag. So we are small people. So we don't have the same strength or power to convince IOC, but we have to change the sports law. Excuse me. If that sports law is not changed, there are a lot of discrepancies, because a lot of things have happened now. So we have to change, and that is the biggest challenge we are facing after doing all these work. Imagine Sri Lanka is not allowed to participate. This, let me tell you, 1978, we had a Davis Cup match against Chinese Taipei, and I was in the team. We did not have a diplomatic relationship, and they did not allow us to play against Chinese Taipei. It was Taiwan at that time. What were the end results? International Federation suspended Sri Lanka for 4 years. Tennis plummeted, because our biggest event is Davis Cup. It never recovered. So a thing like that is detrimental. If IOC takes a firm stand and say, look, last 10 years we have been given warning, even very recently also a letter had come, they must upgrade. Because the issue is, they are very worried. Every time a new law comes in, we have to keep them informed. Regulations. So when the regulation contradicts the sports law, it's a big problem. So you can't have that. So they wanted upgrade, and there should not be political interference. Those are the few things, So, and also the NOC was formed in 1937. Sports law is 1973, and almost 35 years later. So we have to work together and arrange that. I'm sure only this minister can do it, because he is a sportsman. Anybody else were not interested. Let me tell you, in the past, there was one or two good people, but others were not interested in sports. They were only interested in holding office, I think.
Welcome to Sports with Marlon in association with Next TV. Sri Lanka in danger of being suspended, says President of the National Olympic Committee. Procrastinate means to delay or postpone action, or simply to put off doing something that needs to be done now. Speaking at a recent interview, Mr. Suresh Subramaniam said that one of his biggest concerns is that Sri Lanka could be suspended from the International Olympic Committee for pressing issues regarding the sports law that needs to be addressed immediately. Addressing this issue, Mr. Subramaniam said, quote, "There are lots of discrepancies in our sports law since it dates back to 1973, and these need to be amended or fixed immediately. Over the last 8 to 9 years, Sri Lanka did receive several warnings from the IOC, and this critical issue needs to be addressed. If the IOC takes a firm stand, we are doomed," he went on to say. Reiterating this fact, Mr. Subramaniam went on to say that the IOC in the past had suspended countries such as India, Pakistan, and Kuwait, despite having the president of the Asian Council in their midst. The IOC is concerned that each time a regulation or a law is passed, it could contradict the sports law. Mr. Subramaniam went on to say, I do have a responsibility to inform the IOC of any regulations or laws that comes into effect. Sri Lanka needs to upgrade its sports law and keep it in line with the IOC Charter, which has been done by the entire world except Sri Lanka. Several successive sports ministers that came in promised the IOC that this would be done, but unfortunately it was never done. In 2004, under the chairmanship of Jagat Fernando, several prominent sportsmen and also lawyers got together and reviewed the sports law and revised it. But unfortunately, with the change of government at that time, nothing transpired thereafter. Under another sports minister, Mr. Mahindananda Alutgamage, the sports law was re-looked into and a final draft was drawn. However, it did not go beyond that. Thereafter, we had sports ministers such as Dayasiri Jayasekara, Faiza Mustafa and Harin Fernando who came and went. In conclusion, Mr. Subramaniam went on to say that if any changes could be done to the sports law, it would perhaps be done now because the current sports minister is also an ex-sportsman and a person who skippered the Sri Lanka's national rugby team. This is Marlon Dale Ferreira signing off for Sports with Marlon in association with Next TV.